Tonight, trouble in store. Hundreds of jobs in the balance as retail giant Target prepares to close or rebrand more than 160 outlets around the country. VCE exams brought forward as students across the state prepare to return to the classroom. A disgraced police officer dubbed an energetic fraudster as part of an elaborate property investment scheme. The driver at the centre of a frightening crash caught on camera is back in custody and likely to be charged. And why counter-terror police were called in after a mobile communication site goes up in flames.
This is 10 News First Melbourne with Jennifer Keyte.
First tonight, a major blow to one of Australia's most recognisable retail brands. More than half of all Target stores will either be shut down or converted to Kmart outlets. The dramatic move has put hundreds of jobs at risk.
A much-loved store with a Target on its back. The retailer's owner is significantly shrinking the chain because it's struggling.
Target is an unprofitable business. It's been subject to an enormous amount of change and competition in the retail market for many years.
Up to 167 Target and Target Country stores will be impacted. Around 92 will be converted into Kmarts, but up to 25 Targets will close and 50 Target Country stores, which mainly operate in regional areas, will shut. Wesfarmers hasn't revealed the specific locations.
I didn't know that so many stores were going to close. I think that's a great pity.
I think it's sad that they're closing. I suppose if they're going to change to Kmart, then at least they will, you've still got employment around the area.
But unfortunately, there are between 1,000 and 1,300 team members that over the next 12 months are likely to lose their jobs.
The plan is to try to redeploy as many as possible across other Wesfarmers businesses such as Bunnings and Officeworks.
We'll certainly be working towards a 100% outcome for redeployment. Challenging, yes. Impossible, no.
Back in 2016, Wesfarmers told me they wanted to keep both brands and make them strong performing retailers. 4 years on, Kmart is on top and Target will shrink to around 125 stores. The Retailers Association says it gets it. Retailers have an obligation to make tough decisions at this time to ensure their ongoing financial viability. Strengthening its online operations are a big part of that as more and more customers choose to shop that way. Today is all about ensuring they keep shopping tomorrow.
But over the next year, I'm confident we'll create more jobs for Australians.
Gillian Bowen for 10 News First.
The restructure coincides with plans to reopen Myer stores throughout Victoria. Estelle Lewis joins us live now. Estelle, Myer shut because of the pandemic. Will it be back to business as usual?
Well, Jen, like most things, shopping at Myer will resume, but not quite as we know it. All of the company's 14 Victorian stores will welcome customers back on Wednesday. Myer has been reopening stores bit by bit across the country, taking into account different restriction measures around the states. Already 23 locations have reopened, but Victorian stores are among the last to get back up and running. Other major retailers like Country Road this week announced their reopening too, marking a significant step on the road to recovery. Retailers hope that Myer will draw more customers to shopping centres and encourage smaller shops to open too.
It's certainly building, there is no question about that. We've got a long way to go. Again, no question about that as well. I mean, the social distancing is going to play such a part and we just need everybody to play their part in doing that, and I think that'll help the economy as we move forward.
Love to go shopping there, love to find good sales.
Oh, the more that opens, the better.
Myer tends to be somewhere I sort of go for everything, so not to be able to go there to buy makeup and, the general Myer shop has been quite hard.
Well, as well as social distancing measures, Myer will carry out enhanced cleaning and, as we've seen elsewhere, there'll be sanitising stations and sneeze guards at payment registers. There will be some services that won't continue for now, things like beauty appointments and shoe fittings, just to avoid that contact. But Jen, this is all part of the new normal that retailers and shoppers are beginning to adjust to.
It certainly is. Thank you very much, Estelle. Victoria's VCE students finally have some certainty with their exams, now set to start on November 9. And schools across the state are preparing for a return to face-to-face learning, both sooner than anyone hoped for at the start of our lockdown.
Veda Mancino has extra motivation to hit the books.
I was really excited because, it gives a final end date and finally it's like there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
She was among hundreds of VCE students anxiously waiting to hear when their exams will be held.
We've been able to bring our exams forward to the week beginning the 9th of November. The last exam will be on the 2nd of December. And students will receive their VCE and VCAL certificates, their ATAR scores, before the end of the year.
That's about a month earlier than previously predicted. The state government says it's because of encouraging testing results. As part of the state's testing blitz, 10,000 school staff have volunteered to be tested for COVID-19 and all so far have been negative. And while the Andrews government is spruiking that result as a sign of success, that's just 1/8 of the number of Victorian school employees. It won't be business as usual at schools, with staggered drop-off and pick-up times, different recess and lunch times, increased cleaning and more hand washing and sanitising.
And you also have to wash your hands in between your fingernails.
On Tuesday, prep to grade 2 and year 11 and 12 return to the classroom. For the Beale family, that means 2 out of 4 are graduating from homeschool.
This stuff is quite fun and quite a little bit boring.
What are you most looking forward to on Tuesday?
I'm playing football with my mates.
You didn't have to think long about that one?
No.
Jake and Alana's sister Felicity will join them a fortnight later when years 3 to 10 return on June 9.
Yeah, the end's in sight, so it's sort of back to some sort of normality for them for their schooling anyway.
Annie Kearney for 10 News First.
And Annie Kearney joins us live now. Annie, some parents and teachers may be a little nervous about the return to school, especially as Victoria continues to have new coronavirus cases.
Yeah, Jen, some families and teachers may be feeling a bit of trepidation ahead of students returning to school next week. But the state government has again reiterated today that the health advice is now that it is safe to do so and that these are cautious and careful steps. There are a dozen new cases overnight, bringing the state's total to 1,593. Of those new cases, 5 were linked to Cedar Meats, bringing that cluster to 111. 4 were returned travellers in hotel quarantine and 3 are still being investigated. That brings the total to more than 1,500. Now, the good news tonight, Jen, is that none of those new cases are linked to aged care homes or the outbreak we've seen at McDonald's in the northern suburbs.
Good to hear. Thank you very much, Annie. Australian First research into COVID-19 and children has found youngsters are unlikely to contract the deadly disease. But concerns remain about the impact of the virus, with the mysterious illness emerging in some children overseas.
There's a lot about coronavirus we don't know, but we do know it affects fewer children.
So far, our low rates of positive cases in children is reassuring and fits with what we've seen across Australia with low rates of community transmission. However, we need to continue to be vigilant.
A major Australian hospital recorded its first positive test in a child on March 21. Since then, the Murdoch Children's Research Institute has tested 434 children who presented with coronavirus symptoms. Only 4 were positive and none needed to be hospitalised.
We didn't find that they had higher rates of COVID-19. However, we need to continue to monitor the situation closely.
The situation is much worse overseas, where some young survivors of COVID-19 are developing a mystery illness, similar to Kawasaki disease. New York is investigating 157 cases and 3 deaths.
This is one of those situations where the more they look, I believe the more they're going to find.
But so far, that hasn't been the case here. Researchers say the study should be somewhat reassuring to parents because if their child is suffering from a respiratory illness, it's much more likely to be a common childhood condition like croup, bronchitis or asthma and not COVID-19. But since nothing is certain, parents are being warned against complacency as restrictions begin to ease. Candice Wyatt for 10 News First.
In what could be the biggest accounting error in Australian history, the bill from the government's brand new Job Seeker scheme has been slashed from $130 billion to $70 billion. A jaw-dropping mix-up in the paperwork overestimated recipients by almost 3 million.
This was the Prime Minister only last Friday.
This is a $130 billion program which has been able to connect with over 6 million Australians.
But as it turns out, that wasn't quite right. The Treasurer admitting there's been a massive reporting error with the JobKeeper program, and it's not actually covering the 6.5 million workers claimed, but rather half that amount.
This is a mistake you could have seen from space, and this is a government that couldn't run a bath.
This is a very uncertain time. I'm not blaming Treasury and I'm not blaming the ATO.
Treasury has realised around 1,000 businesses wrongly filled out their application form. It means the $130 billion program will now cost around $70 billion, delivering a whopping $60 billion bonus to Aussie taxpayers.
This is good news for the taxpayer.
Good news for the budget, but still an embarrassing blunder.
Blows any previous mistake when it comes to economic figures in Australian history right out of the water.
Importantly, there was no money that was sent out that shouldn't have been sent out. There was no underpayments.
The Morrison government is now under pressure to explain why the scheme couldn't be expanded to include the 1 million ineligible casual workers and some visa holders.
They said they couldn't expand the program because they'd drawn a line in the sand. What we know now is that that sand was indeed quicksand.
There's now calls to revisit the eligibility criteria, with Labor and the Greens demanding all casual workers be included, along with the arts and entertainment sector, which was largely locked out.
This is not an invitation to spend more money.
Tegan George for 10 News First.
Australian mining communities remain optimistic despite China reportedly directing its state-owned power plants to avoid using our coal and instead rely on local products. Beijing has also ordered changes to its inspections for iron ore imports, our most lucrative commodity. But the Morrison government is still adamant there is no trade war.
But China has in the past introduced quotas of this style. It's not unusual. We have a quality product. We produce it at a very cost-effective price. This is one of our best markets and will continue.
Nevertheless, Resources Minister Keyte is attempting to set up a meeting about the new orders with his Chinese counterpart. Hours after he was released from police custody, the driver at the centre of a horror crash which left more than a dozen people injured has been rearrested. Police are still trying to determine if it was an accident or something much worse.
Smoking, screeching, then smashing. This was the heart-stopping moment a van crashed through a Greenacre hijab shop. 14 people were left battered and bloodied among the rubble as shocked onlookers rushed in to help yesterday.
There's a lot of screaming, the blood's everywhere and the broken glasses, and I just wanted to help.
Steve Assar was among the heroes, helping free one shopper who was pinned beneath the wreckage. He also managed to talk with the driver, a 51-year-old man who sat expressionless.
I wanted to get him out of the car and ask him if he was all right. He just shook his head, but he wouldn't actually move.
So I heard a big bang, so I ran, that's my medical center. I came and I saw broken glass, a car inside, Mitsubishi, so there was a lot of glass pieces. There were 3 girls here in shock, bleeding from legs.
As the injured were stretchered to waiting ambulances, distressing footage of the aftermath flooded social media. That's sadly how Tariq Hashar learnt of the tragedy unfolding at his shop front.
I still have tears in my eyes. The store was completely destroyed. The counter area was demolished.
The owner's sister was among the injured. She was standing near the change rooms when the van came hurtling towards her. It wiped out the counter. She got out of the way just in time, but was showered with debris. Fortunately, those injured suffered only minor injuries and have all been released from hospital. The van driver was rearrested at a nearby home this afternoon, despite being released by police overnight. Investigators are desperately trying to figure out if he suffered a medical episode or if this was a deliberate act. Michael Hammond for 10 News First.
Australia's highest-ranking Olympic official has warned there's a real chance the Tokyo Games might not go ahead at all. At a News Corp roundtable, John Keyte said the approval of a coronavirus vaccine before next July may not be enough to save the event, with the outbreak so severe in some countries. Officials are expected to reassess their plans in October. IOC President Thomas Bach says the Games would have to be cancelled altogether if they can't take place next July. Now here's Stephen previewing sport, and the Magpies skipper wants to shake things up.
That would be an understatement, Jen. More footy, less training, a wild card round, plus more. We'll hear from Scott Pendlebury in sport. Also a Giants veteran ready to rip. And the forgotten man of football ramps things up as he tries to prove to the Dockers he's ready for action.
Thanks, Stephen. Coming up in 10 News First. Counter-terrorism police investigate if there are sinister motives for a fiery phone tower attack. A show of force as police crack down on a suburban drug scourge.
Get ready for MasterChef's greatest ever dish.
If there was ever a plate of food that has come through this kitchen this season that says, I am back to win, it's this dish.
In a week of amazing food, one contestant will do something unlike anything before.
That was incredible.
It just blows my mind. That was absolutely perfect. I would love to have it on my menu.
Minds are blowing.
A bombshell. It was unbelievable.
I've never experienced anything like that.
My God, absolutely perfect.
MasterChef on 10. Best Dish Week starts 7:30 Sunday.
It is the heart of the home. It's the heart of our family. We need it to last a long time.
We definitely make the whole process affordable and easy.
So to create the amazing look without the big prices, beautiful kitchens that look amazing.
Do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse doesn't win but runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Randwick, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet.
Don't miss a moment. New by Solven Duo Syrup is a 2-in-1 formula traditionally used to soothe an irritated throat and relieve an associated dry cough. By Solven Duo. Moments uninterrupted. Available at selected retailers.
How safe are those things? Shame.
Toyota value stays with you, like Hilux 4x4 SR5 Auto. Drive away from $53,990. Older feeling. Toyota.
More home loan brokers with more ways to help you, giving you even more reasons to smile wherever you are. Talk to me or your broker today.
Introducing the all-new Palmy Classics range at Subway. Chicken Palmy with rich marinara sauce, chicken and ham palmy with smoked leg ham, and the chicken and pepperoni palmy, all topped with double melty mozzarella cheese. Grab a palmy today at Subway.
Counter-terrorism officers have joined the investigation into a telecommunications tower fire at Cranbourne West overnight. It follows a spate of similar deliberately lit fires overseas, linked to bizarre conspiracy theories about coronavirus.
The 220,000-volt transmission tower caught fire just before 2 a.m.
Fires involving any type of electricity, and particularly our high voltage electricity, are quite challenging. Not only to being able to put the water where it needs to get to, but to ensure the safety of our crews.
Nearby residents were the first to raise the alarm.
We just heard like a poof. And then we just looked outside and saw flames.
Insulated cables running from a mobile phone base station allowed the flames to travel quickly to the top of the tower, threatening other transmission lines.
Wait a little bit. I just want to take the pole bag up with me.
It was fairly intense to begin with, but obviously the fact that our crews were here so quickly, they averted any major disaster.
Arson hasn't been ruled out, especially following deliberate attacks on 5G towers overseas, linked to unfounded conspiracy theories they're responsible for the spread of coronavirus. Concerns about copycat incidents have prompted counter-terrorism detectives to get involved. Police insist the involvement of counter-terrorism detectives in this investigation is only a precaution. But if this is deemed to be a deliberate act, those involved could be charged with terrorism offences. Telstra says the tower has no 5G equipment, but the company is assisting police with the investigation. Simon Love for 10 News First.
A police sergeant who created an audacious and elaborate scheme to take over houses and rent them out is facing jail. Rosa Rossi has pleaded guilty to 9 charges over her bizarre property investment plan.
Former Sergeant Rosa Rossi's takeover plan didn't work out. She's now a hairdresser and farmhand.
Rosa, did you abuse your position as an officer? Are you sorry for the deception?
The prosecution described how she took advantage of her position as a police officer to gain access to 5 homes while owners were away. She hired locksmiths to change the locks and researched how to claim adverse possession of property.
Anything to say at all to the victim?
She posed as the landlord of this Chadstone home, advertising it for rent. The following year, the real owners returned to Australia to discover tenants living in the house. Another victim was living in South Africa when neighbours alerted him that someone was in his house in the country town of Wallora. When local police arrived, Rossi told them she was a police officer and that she had the keys to the property. She did arrange to purchase it, but 3 months later withdrew from the sale. The owner told the court, "I was gutted and felt like a fool. I still feel stupid," and used by Rosa Rossi.
The judge is yet to hear from Rossi's lawyer in detail, but she did warn the prosecution case presents the 57-year-old as an energetic fraudster rather than someone who was enthusiastic but misguided when it came to investing in property.
The judge labelled the fraud extraordinary. The case will return to court in June. Emma O'Sullivan for 10 News First.
Police have arrested hundreds of alleged drug traffickers in a major crackdown near Richmond's controversial injecting facility. Patrols focused heavily on Victoria Street, with officers on foot, bikes and inside vehicles carrying out more than 190 trafficking arrests since July last year. Police say this will have a significant flow-on effect and potentially take thousands of hits off Melbourne streets.
Victoria Police remains committed to fighting the scourge of drugs across our community. Not just the Yarra precinct, but more broadly across the whole of Victoria.
Richmond residents have previously voiced concerns over the placement of a safe injecting facility in the neighbourhood. Well, let's take a look at the traffic now with Jess Miller in the chopper.
Thanks, Jen. Having a look at Ivanhoe in the Lexus of Brighton traffic chopper. We've got a truck stuck in a tree. This is on Upper Heidelberg Road, just near Studley Road. Obviously, unlike bridges, trees don't have that low clearance sign, so the driver wasn't to know, but he brought down some branches as well. A clean-up is underway. We've got emergency services on site and lane closures in place for both directions. Traffic on Studley Road is being forced to turn left. Fortunately, not causing too many delays through the area. Back soon with more traffic. Jen?
Thank you, Jess. And ahead in 10 News First. Fears of escalating tensions in Hong Kong with the introduction of sweeping new laws branded deadly dangerous. And a star headed to jail over a college fraud scandal.
And a lot of us know about Winx, that horse racing phenomenon. Well, this is Winx, the Blue Cattle Cross. We'll meet you in just a moment.
Together, we're getting there. And driving away has never felt better, especially with the incredible drive away price of $49,888 for the UX200 Luxury. Contact your Lexus dealer today.
Hey, do you like chocolate?
I love chocolate.
Oh, do you love laughing?
Craziest thing I'd ever seen.
Do you love superheroes?
I love you guys so much.
Yes. You're going to love tonight with Jamie and Graham from 7:30 on 10. You'll love to see it.
At ANZ, we're here to help you get on top of your money. So if you need a hand banking from home, support through the ups and downs of business, or to ease the pressures of your home loan, we're here and ready to help.
This Saturday with Sportsbet, get the best payout across all three tabs with top-toed exotics. Nail a quinella, trifecta or even the quaddie and you'll get the biggest return. Top-toed exotics from Sportsbet.
These are uncertain times, but the automotive industry has a simple message.
Auto's open and we're open.
Auto's open and we're open.
Auto's open and we're open.
So whatever you need, maintenance, repairs, specialty services, even buying a vehicle, VACC members are open for business. So look for the orange sign. VACC, you're in good hands.
So many things can change in 12 weeks. One of the least to change, the vibrancy of your hair colour. Tresemme Colour Shine Flex. Sulfate-free. Keeps colour more vibrant for up to 12 weeks. Hair defined by Tresemme. The rest is defined by you.
Domino's $5 pizzas are incredible value. They're made with fresh dough and vine-ripened tomato sauce, topped with stretchy and tastier mozzarella, and served with total peace of mind. Thanks to zero contact pickup from Domino's.
We're coming to you live from the scene. Tell us what you've got there. Toilet paper?
Nah, just dinner stuff.
Right. You must have paid an unprecedented price for that during these unprecedented times.
Nah, they're from Aldi. Prices are always low.
Let's just go.
Whatever happens, our low prices are here to stay. Aldi. Good. Different.
If you've been injured at work, on the road or in a public place, your normal life can suddenly stop. Check if you have a claim for compensation online in minutes so you can start again. With Slater & Gordon, tomorrow starts today.
JB stores are open for business with the hottest deals for your smart home. Arlo Ultra 3-camera wire-free security system with bonus Google Nest Hub and Arlo doorbell $14.49. Lenovo Smart Display 2 for $199. Buy in store, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
Carpet stains can be so distressing and you never know what to use on them until now. With Carpet Coal's amazing absorbent Wonder Block. Take this fresh cola spill, simply blot it up with the Wonder Block, rinse and repeat, and the stain is gone. Even on this old stain, spray it with carpet stain remover, leave it for a few minutes, and blot it up with a dampened Wonder Block. The amazing Wonder Block is available now in all our stores and online at carpetcoal.com.au.
The experts in the trade.
In MasterChef's Best Dish Week, what will be the greatest ever dish?
My God.
Wow.
China has announced sweeping new security laws that appear to be aimed at crushing the pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong. The details are still murky, but it's already led to scenes such as this tonight, where protesters are once again facing off against a very large police contingent across the territory. Demonstrators warn the legal changes will mean the end to Hong Kong as we know it.
It's the most important political event on Beijing's calendar. The National People's Congress convening today, and top of the agenda, a controversial national security law for Hong Kong. It's angered activists who claim Beijing has broken its promise.
This is the end of Hong Kong. This is the end of one country, two systems.
Protesters are ready to once again take to the streets after almost a year of upheaval in the city. China wants to stop these violent scenes from repeating by imposing special branches of the central government within Hong Kong. In a bid to safeguard national security, the following would be forbidden. Any activity aimed at toppling the central government, including the burning of flags or defacing of symbols and monuments, as well as foreign interference and terrorism. The definition for both unclear in China. But what is clear is the United States' position.
If it happens, we'll address that issue very strongly.
Australia milder in its response, given the current trade tensions between Canberra and Beijing.
We want to make sure that one country, two systems continues to operate. We want to make sure that the rule of law, of course, is kept. Australia's relations with Hong Kong are very strong. We want those to continue.
Before COVID-19 swept through, there were 100,000 Australians living in Hong Kong. Their future, along with millions of others, now even more uncertain. Stella Todorovic for 10 News First.
Donald Trump has once again refused to wear a mask in front of the cameras despite touring a Ford plant where it was compulsory. The US president was there as part of a visit to Michigan, a key battleground state in this year's election.
Well, I had one on before. I wore one in this back area, but I didn't want to give the press the pleasure of seeing it.
Across the country, another 2.4 million people filed for unemployment last week, even with nearly every state reopened. Almost 39 million Americans have now lost their jobs in 9 weeks. American actress Lori Loughlin and her husband have agreed to plead guilty for their part in a college admissions scandal. The deal will see the 55-year-old serve 2 months in prison, while her husband has agreed to 5 months behind bars. The couple allegedly paid more than $760,000 and faked their 2 daughters' athletic achievements to get them into university. And now here's Mike with a look ahead to the weather.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Good evening. A fairly gloomy old day across Melbourne today, 9 to 14 degrees. Just a couple of very light spots of rain, mainly in the north. Overnight, up to 11 millimetres of rain falling around town. And in fact, that was in the city. And we are this far away from our wettest autumn in some 50 years. 14 degrees in Melbourne, but at Mount Dandenong, just 9 degrees. So again, single figures. Over the all-important weekend, around 15 degrees for your Saturday, 14 on Sunday. Showers developing late tomorrow into Sunday morning. OK, it is Friday. It is 5:30, time to give a dog a home. And look at you, look at you, look at you, looking at everybody at home. This is Winks. Winks is around 3 years of age. He's a blue heeler cross. Wants to go to your place. All the details at dogshome.com. Got the forecast in full and also some very interesting Mike's picks of pets working at home. Jen.
Thank you, Mike. Still to come, we'll have an update on the day's finance and looking for love behind the mask. How romantics are coping in this era of coronavirus.
Monday, the race is on. At 7:30, it's MasterChef's toughest team relay ever.
Here they come!
Then the race continues, but are they paying attention?
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Can we get Glenn's carer around?
Be a part of Tam's must-see Monday race.
I suddenly realised we're all in this together.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
JB stores are open for business with the hottest deals to keep you connected. Get $150 on the latest 128gig Samsung Galaxy S20 phone. Take 15% off Lenovo and Asus computers and stacks more. Buy in-store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
You'd never clean your surfaces with this, so why use this? Sponges can carry millions of germs. Dettol wipes kill germs instead of spreading them. Now biodegradable and compostable.
If you're gonna wear a red lip, commit to it. Not the guy, the lip.
Somebody, come on.
Almost perfect. The only thing missing is you. That's why I trust eHarmony.
No one can connect you with high-quality singles like eHarmony. That's why every 14 minutes, someone finds love on eHarmony. Start free today.
Being family-owned, all Mackenzie aged care facilities start with us.
At Mackenzie, it's all about choice. You can try our Respite Aged Care for less than $53 per day.
At Mackenzie Aged Care, it all starts with people.
It's LTV for me.
It's LTV for me.
More and more people are saying it's LTV for me because the LTV T60 4x4 diesel is from just $27,490 drive away. And eligible businesses may be able to claim the government instant asset write-off. Hurry, offer ends May 31.
Smartly monitor and track physical distancing at work with the new i2 Safe app. With smart monitoring Bluetooth, the app tracks worker distance to ensure a safe work environment. App access available soon. Register your interest today at cloudA2k.com/i2safe.
Infused oil deluxe crisps from Red Rock Deli.
Let's do it, baby.
It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
It's a difficult time for Aussie families. We can't change what's happening, but we can bring you something fresh and tasty. And when we do, you'll know that your family is helping ours. So thank you, from our family to yours.
In MasterChef's Best Dish Week, which one of these amazing dishes is the greatest ever dish?
Wow.
Hello there, it's the weekend and that's usually the time potential home buyers head out to an open house or two. But don't expect the market to be flooded with bargains. Fresh analysis by Domain shows there's no sign of urgent or distressed selling across the capital cities. Sydney, Perth, Adelaide and Hobart had a marginal increase in the proportion of urgent sale listings from February to mid-May. Brisbane and Canberra actually saw a decline. Melbourne and Darwin had no change at all. Now, according to Domain, it suggests homeowners are not being forced to sell despite the COVID-19 economic turmoil. Now, if you've been missing Myer, get ready for next Wednesday. The retailer has told investors it'll reopen its 60 stores by then. After a trial, it now feels comfortable to end its almost 2-month-long shutdown. That announcement saw shares in the department store soar up more than 9%, but it also benefited from a Wesfarmers decision that will see up to 167 Target and Target Country stores shut or be converted to Kmarts. Meanwhile, ANZ has confirmed it is raising one of its fixed home loan rates. There's been a surge in mortgage holders refinancing as good deals were rolled out during the pandemic. Overall, the share market finished almost down 1%. To the dollar, it's down against all the major currencies, and that's finance.
Gillian Bowen reporting. Well, there's a lot that's changed during 2020 after the world was thrown into isolation. One of the hardest challenges has been finding love. But the experts say this could be one of the best times to start a new relationship.
Working on the pandemic front line, Emily Lee has met more people than most this year. But behind a mask, she's found it impossible to meet that special someone. There's also this.
When I meet people, this is what I do. 100% everyone says feels like the swabs back into their brain.
So you're not making a really nice connection there?
No, not at all.
Finding love in the time of COVID, it's the worst of times and the best of times.
Also gives you a chance to slow the connection down and savour the getting to know you period, which actually can be very good for the long term.
After months of no bars, no events and no restaurants, video dates are really blossoming.
So we've seen people cooking together or ordering the same, getting dressed up for a dinner date and ordering the same takeaway, or drinking the same bottle of wine.
With 4 million users in Australia, dating app Bumble has seen a 76% spike in video calls in just the past 3 months. Dating app Hinge has customised some backgrounds that you can use on your next Zoom date. So if the beach isn't hotting up for you, you could move the romance fireside or get back to nature in this botanic garden. But there is an even better option, I think. This is the best cocktail bar in town because the drinks are cheap. They're all homemade. Soon, Emily will get back to her usual patients as a cosmetic nurse and hopes her patience in love pays off. Ali Donaldson for 10 News First.
Now let's see what's coming up on the project.
Tonight, not everyone's on board with the latest easing of restrictions. We'll get the Deputy Chief Medical Officer's take.
And we'll look at the nasty showdown between travel agencies and customers demanding COVID-19 refunds.
The tax office finds $60 billion down the back of the JobKeeper couch. All I found was 2 pens and an Apple core, but still good.
Not bad! And I've got a bunch of Aussies keen to show us the skills that they've learned while cooped up at home.
All that and a whole lot more coming up at 6:30. See you then.
Well, let's take another look at our roads now. It's back up to Jess Miller in the traffic chopper.
Thank you, Jen. In Bundoora in the Lexus of Brighton traffic chopper, having a look at a couple of tow trucks loaded up and ready to leave after a minor bingle. This is on Plenty Road just south of the Ring Road. A couple of lanes are blocked to southbound traffic, but they should be out of the way shortly and all lanes will reopen. And another smash just near here as well. That's also on Plenty Road at Grimshaw Street. That's just next to the shop. Fortunately, not causing too many major delays through that area. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you, Jess. The MCC is offering a 30% discount to its 130,000 members for 2020-21. With no end in sight to the ban on large gatherings at sporting events, MCC members will see a fee saving of about $200. If a member can demonstrate financial hardship, they may be entitled to a more significant discount. MCC President Michael Happel says the organisation is keen to ensure people retain their memberships after often spending decades on a waiting list. Now here's Stephen with Friday Sport, and the Bulldogs coach has a pretty old-fashioned idea.
Yeah, he does, Jen. Luke Beveridge wants to bring back the curtain raiser. Also, the Magpies' grand plan for football, a Tigers cult hero feeling the financial pinch, a tough day for a surfing legend, and the stairway to heaven for this baby basketballer.
Together, we're getting there. And driving away has never felt better, especially with the incredible drive-away price of $49,888 for the UX200 Luxury. Contact your Lexus dealer today.
What does the future hold for bricks and mortar retailers? That's next.
My wife, before she passed away, she said, get yourself a little dog.
This is Ruby.
Her owner died.
When she come in, she was dragging her tail. She's coming to you now.
Thank you.
That was when her tail went up. She's happy with us.
Yeah. It's a match made in doggy heaven, 7 o'clock Saturday.
Dear Australia, we've been seeing a lot of you, now that you're home a bit more. And we've noticed some wonderful things. Strangers becoming neighbours, neighbours becoming friends, and even tea parties over side fences. We wanted to mark this moment in our history. So we've created a national letterbox where you can share your experience of this time in a letter, which we'll preserve for future generations. We look forward to hearing from you. Love, Australia Post.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance? Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
Do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse doesn't win but runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Randwick, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet.
You don't give in. You don't give up. You push on when most would have pushed off. You lend a hand, whether a hand was asked for or not. It's called Aussie Spirit for good reason, because it takes spirit to get through times like these. Lucky you've got it in spades. It's what inspires us to be by your side to help. Together we'll get through this. We always do. Search Toyota, here to help.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
Go! The espresso capsule from Law, the aluminium capsule designed to fit your Nespresso machine. Discover Law capsules and be captivated by a gold standard espresso.
Huddling at home? Try Domino's new Chicken Parmesan Deep Pan with 22 succulent chicken pieces and crispy rasher bacon from just $15 delivered. Order now with total peace of mind thanks to zero contact delivery from Domino's.
Lendy is helping thousands of households save on average about $2,832 in interest over the next year on their home loans. That's millions in savings for Aussies when they need it most. How can Lendy help you save?
In MasterChef's Best Dish Week, who will make the greatest ever dish?
My God. Wow. Good evening. Collingwood skipper Scott Pendlebury has backed his president in recommending wholesale changes to the game. The future Magpie legend wants more games, less training and an NFL-style wild card weekend.
When the Collingwood skipper makes a suggestion, it carries some weight. He says mini pre-seasons aren't so bad and he's keen on less training, more matches going forward.
As a player, do a 2-month pre-season and get to play more football. So whether that's, extending the season, you play everyone twice or, a few more games in the season. I think most players would rather play than do pre-season.
The future Hall of Famer also gives the thumbs up to an American-style wildcard round.
Yeah, I think a wild card would be pretty cool. I've said a best-of-3 grand final series would be, amazing to play, and it's just whatever we do that's different will create attention first and then it'll become the new norm.
While the revised draw is still to be released, Pendlebury reckons the Magpies v Tigers mail is good.
Yeah, it's unique, but I think you can take it to the bank that we'll be playing Richmond.
Adam Treloar is a long shot for round 2 though, after nicking his calf earlier in the week.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit disappointed that he got that little bit of a calf hiccup, but I'm not too sure, whether he's in the frame for round 3 or round 2 or whatever it is.
Giants hard man Callan Ward is on track to play in game 1. It's been a long and painful road back from a knee reconstruction.
I guess I haven't played in 18 months. I played one game last year, which is when I did my knee, and that was in the first 4 minutes. So it's been a long time since I've played, but I'm good to go. I can't wait to start playing again, that's for sure.
And the prospect of Jesse Hogan making an early season return is gaining momentum. The key forward stepping up his work on the track as he pushes to join teammates in the Gold Coast hub. Nick Butler for 10 News First.
Western Bulldogs coach Luke Beveridge is predicting the return of the curtain raiser. He sees it as the only viable way to get game time into those players not selected.
From the ball boy behind the sticks at Waverley brimming with enthusiasm to the diligent dog setting out the cones at the kennel, AFL coaches have gone full circle.
Yeah, I feel like I'm coaching some Bees and Mentone Tigers again.
The grassroots approach might extend to game day, with Beveridge calling for the return of curtain raisers for players who miss out on the best 22.
It'll have to be that curtain raiser opportunity because we haven't got the staff to be at a different venue on separate days or on the same day. Some of those opportunities might look like training sessions with the opposition, which will be interesting.
The Doggies players today copped a physical flogging, more like a pre-season session, but it wasn't to top up their conditioning or because they came back out of shape, rather that they're in shape.
Well, we've been able to push them a little bit harder because they did the work while they were away.
The Hawks too were jumping up and down to get stuck into the real stuff next week.
Well, I reckon they can't wait, really. That's outside of maybe something with their partners. There's been very little contact for a fair period of time. So, they're competitive beasts. That's why they play this great game of ours.
And it seems our great game is providing insight and inspiration for leagues and clubs across the globe looking to restart from lockdown.
Because we're the pioneers, in a sense, in terms of getting back to play, a lot of the overseas clubs are actually making contact with us to work out some of the things that we've been doing to prepare ourselves and our players to get back to play.
And in the meantime, Clarko isn't fussed about mucking in and rolling up the sleeves to get things going. Keyte Price for 10 News First.
Still no fixture release from the AFL, but it appears a round 2 showdown in Adelaide is a goer. Nick Butler joins us from the newsroom. Nick, will the South Australian Premier play ball?
G'day, Stephen. Look, I think he will. There's a bit of kick-to-kick going on, though. The lowdown on the showdown is this. Everyone wants it, so we think it will happen. A bit of a problem popped up yesterday involving getting the umpires and the broadcasters into South Australia. But now it seems the umpires are willing to go early and serve their 14 days of quarantine, and the broadcasters have been given permission to fly in and fly out. So that should mean game on. Here is the SA Premier, a pretty important man at the moment, Stephen Marshall, just a short time ago.
I'm not sure if the deal has been done because really the ball is in the court, to use a tennis term, of the AFL. So they'll be making a decision with regards to that. But we've been able to update them on the conditions upon which we would be allowed to bring in those umpires and those technical broadcast technicians. So look, we think this is a good deal. I'm hopeful that we might be able to have an AFL showdown here in South Australia because I know that this would cause a lot less disruption to many of the people that would have to relocate a week earlier if we didn't.
So there we go, Stephen Marshall. He's a big footy man and a big Port Adelaide man, so he certainly wants that game to be played at the Adelaide Oval. I'm not willing to say take it to the bank or quote any sources, Stephen, but the Mail is firming that draw will be released on Monday morning, about $1.10 in firming.
Nick, I've taken it to the bank. Thank you. Richmond is working to help 2019 Premiership hero Marlon Pickett as his financial struggles come to light. The father of 4 has applied for assistance from an AFL player's hardship fund after his rookie wage was reduced due to the league-wide player pay cut. But the Tigers are looking at other ways to support him.
We've got a couple of genuine opportunities for him to do, which are valuable for both him and for the community and for our club, which I'm pretty sure the AFL will respond positively to. I do feel for them a little bit too, because, I mean, everyone's got a great idea to spend money outside of the TPP, and a lot of them they do have to knock back. But they've been quite challenging on making sure that these are bona fide, and I'm pretty sure that we're in a position where that will happen.
The Tigers were working on a new deal for Pickett before deals were frozen under the COVID lockdown. The NRL Integrity Unit's penalties for Melbourne Storm star Josh Addo-Carr and good mate Latrell Mitchell will remain. Mitchell and Addo-Carr had appealed against the severity of their initial punishments for disobeying social distancing rules. Both will be fined $50,000 for their infamous camping weekend near Taree.
Yeah, he's got to try and realise that, you know, we're sort of on show 24/7 nowadays with camera phones and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I think you really have to have the right people around you.
Meantime, Mitchell's South Sydney teammate Cody Walker will miss next week's restart of the NRL season. Walker copped a 2-match ban for his involvement in a street fight last December in the northern New South Wales town of Casino. The tennis world is in mourning after the death of Ashley Cooper. Cooper won 8 Grand Slam titles in the late 50s, 4 each in singles and doubles. After his career ended, he served as an administrator for both Tennis Australia and Tennis Queensland. He passed away today after a long illness at the age of 83. A major sighting at Avalon Beach in Sydney with King Kelly Slater trying to rein in the large swell. But when the 11-time world champ got back to the shore, it was obvious he found the monster waves a little too tough to handle. The locals offered the chance to get a souvenir after being put through a numbers guessing game. Slater's appearance was a surprise. However, Avalon Beach has always been one of his favourite breaks. Working from home takes creativity, such as going upstairs to practice your work from downtown. Now it's a big step up from there to the pros, but for showing plenty of promise, this very young baller scores our play of the day. Nothing but net, Jen. There's a Michael Jordan of the future.
Ah, extraordinary. Thank you, Stephen. Coming up, Mike's back with the weather and he'll have the all-important weekend forecast. Is China plotting the end of Hong Kong as we know it? That's next.
Get ready for MasterChef's greatest ever dish.
That was incredible. Incredible.
It just blows my mind. That was absolutely perfect.
I've never experienced anything like that.
Best Dish Week starts Sunday.
We are Regional Australia.
We are winemakers.
We are coffee roasters.
Fashion designers.
Potters.
Bakers.
Shopkeepers.
We're asking for your support because the wine is pouring.
The kiln is firing. And we're open for business.
Because where you shop matters.
Discover how Visa's network connects regional businesses to customers across Australia and the world.
Do it, baby.
It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
Starbucks coffee is coming home, now available in supermarkets.
JB stores are open for business with the hottest deals to keep you connected. Get $150 on the latest 128-gig Samsung Galaxy S20 phone. Take 15% off Lenovo and Asus computers and stacks more. Buy in-store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
Outside, it's something to look at. But inside, it's a space to be. A space we fit our lives into. A space that brings us closer. That spans generations. Where we go to let go. In a Mazda, this space is 100 years in the making. And summed up in 2 words. Zoom, zoom.
Amy has always helped Australians get back on the road. But now, more than ever, it's vital those on the front line get to where they need to be. That's why we're now offering free roadside assist to all doctors, nurses, hospital staff and first responders Australia-wide until the end of the year. Amy and non-Amy customers. Here's to supporting the everyday heroes who are supporting the rest of us. To take advantage of this offer, go to amy.com.au.
Lucky you're with Amy.
This Saturday with Sportsbet, get the best payout across all 3 tabs with top-toed exotics. Nail a quinella, trifecta or even the quaddie and you'll get the biggest return. Top-toed exotics from Sportsbet.
This is a Nature Valley checklist. Whole grain oats? Yes. Artificial colours and flavours? No. Delicious ingredients? Yes. Preservatives? No. Big taste? Yes. Nature Valley. Get more out.
In the UK, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have taken turns as guest bingo callers for nursing home residents in Wales. Armed with their own bingo spinner, the couple even used the proper bingo lingo.
George would like this one. 5 and 5, snakes alive.
1 and 7, dancing queen. Are we drawing these numbers badly?
The appearance is part of the couple's focus on how nursing homes and their staff are coping amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, now it's over to Mike for the weather.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Good evening. Over my shoulder, we have the Balti Bridge connecting the west of the city since 1999. 14 degrees in Melbourne today, 15 tomorrow, back to 14 on Sunday, and yes, some rain is on the agenda. A couple of photos now that have been sent to Mike's Pics at network10.com.au. What can I say, but who's got a crabby teacher? Now, this is little Frank assisting a little nipper named Ryder in Langwarrin with his homework. Frank, not shellfish, in fact he's clawsome. And when it's time to see what the weather's like outside to walk the dog, Charlie knows exactly who to turn to in South Morang.
Thank you to Cooper for that particular photo. Okay, 9 degrees was a mild start to your day. 14 degrees was a chilly sort of maximum. Skies have been fairly grey, just a couple of very, very light spots of rain, mainly north of the CBD. Outside right now, around 12 degrees. The wind a south-southwesterly blowing at just 3 kilometres per hour. Around Melbourne today at Mount D, they could not quite get to double figures. 6 to 9 for this Friday. Across our state, and temperatures were in fact 4 to 7 degrees below average. 16 today's max in Mildura. Isolated showers affecting the south today. A useful 9 millimetres of rain at Mount Useful. Overnight up to 14 mils fell at Mount Elizabeth in the far east. Around the country as we sadly farewell Tarjay, Darwin. Their coldest May day occurred back in 1981 when it got to just 23. Today 25, and they were cold. Brisbane rather chilly at 18 degrees. Sydney 16, 50 millimetres of rainfall in there in the western suburbs. And in Canberra, where a guy swallowed a bunch of Scrabble tiles, his next trip to the loo could spell disaster. 13 degrees. The weather charts, and it's all about either side of the country. In the west, a cyclone, tropical cyclone Manga, a category 1, and off the east coast, an intense low. Forget rock fishing and boating in that area. The low will brings also some rain to East Gippsland tomorrow. The rainfall chart, the low off New South Wales, dumping heavy rains from the Illawarra northwards, huge seas, damaging winds, and later in the weekend, remnants of the cyclone will link up with fronts for heavy rain in the south of Western Australia. Interstate up to Sydney, from June 1, 50 patrons for pubs and cafes and restaurants. 17 tomorrow, then 18 Sunday, 20 to 30 mils of rain likely. Canberra 12 and 14 the next couple of days and wet. Hobart tomorrow 15, 13 on Sunday, both showery. Across our state, and it's all about the east. The low in the Tasman could in fact cause 50 to 60 millimetres of rain to drench East Gippsland tomorrow. Showers in the west and the south, snow in the Alps, frosts in the northeast with chilly south-southeasterly winds. Ballarat a showery 5 to 12, Bendigo partly cloudy 5 to 15, Shepparton mainly sunny 4 to 16 degrees, and tomorrow a gale warning for the East Gippsland coast. Around Melbourne, afternoon showers and pretty cool. Yarra Valley 4 to 14, Mount D double figures. 3 to 10 and Frankston 9 to 15. On the bays, the winds will turn southerly, increase to 25 knots. Be careful. Waves pushing up to 1.5 metres and the sun rising at 20 past 7. And now for Melbourne, home to the Balti Bridge. Cool and cloudy tonight, down to 9. A 70% chance of showers, but only a mil or two. And that'll be mostly in the afternoon, early evening. A top of 15 degrees, southerly winds of 20 to 30 kilometres per hour. And it will be, sort of chilly with the kids at the park. So in Melbourne tomorrow, 9 to 15. Sunday, 10 to 14 degrees, cloudy, some morning showers. Monday, 15 degrees, partly cloudy. Tuesday, there it is, the pick of the week, mainly sunny and 17 degrees, 6 to 17. Wednesday, possibly showers returning, 16 degrees. Thursday, 17. Friday, also 17. But in Melbourne tomorrow, 9 to 15 degrees with some showers.
The developing stories we're following tonight. Fears for hundreds of retail workers as Target shuts dozens of stores across the country. A date set for the VCE exams as our schools prepare to welcome all age groups back to the classroom. And counter-terrorism called in as mystery surrounds the cause of a telecommunications tower fire. Retail workers in Australia have been dealt yet another blow with the shock announcement about the future of Target. More than half the stores will either be shut down or converted to Kmart outlets. Estelle Lewis joins us live now. Estelle, do we know the number of Target stores that will be closed?
Jen, parent company Wesfarmers has announced it'll shut up to 75 Target stores and convert another 92 to Kmart stores, shifting the focus to a more profitable brand. The move follows years of falling sales at Target and puts up to 1,300 jobs at risk. Wesfarmers says it'll deploy as many of its staff as it can, either to the converted Kmart stores or across its other brands, including Bunnings and Officeworks. The transition is set to take place over the next 12 months, with most of the conversions and closures happening next year. Wesfarmers hasn't said yet which locations will be affected, but it has flagged plans to expand its digital retail offering, allowing customers to buy more Kmart and Target products online.
Target is an unprofitable business. It's been subject to an enormous amount of change and competition in the retail market for many years.
So won't be Target anymore, it'll be Keyte.
Well, I love online shopping. Saves me getting out if I don't have to, so I love it.
I didn't know that so many stores were going to close. I think that's a great pity.
I like to shop in store. I find that my size is hard to get online and, I like to look at it and feel it.
The announcement coincides with the news that Myer is set to reopen its Victorian stores next Wednesday after shutting down during the peak of the coronavirus pandemic. So as Target prepares to close and convert its stores, Myer is getting ready to face the challenges of what's shaping up to be a strange new era for retail. Jen?
It certainly is. Thank you very much, Estelle. Mining companies are remaining optimistic after China announced changes to its iron ore inspection rules. But state media in Beijing is warning our most lucrative exports could become collateral damage in an escalating trade war.
First it was barley, then beef. Now China is cooling on our coal and iron ore, with reports Beijing is warning state-owned power plants to prioritise domestic product and shun new Australian shipments.
China has in the past introduced quotas of this style. It's not unusual.
But the timing is suspicious, given trade tensions are heating up and the commodities are Australia's most lucrative exports.
China needs Australia just as much as Australia needs China.
We have a quality product, we produce it at a very cost-effective price. This is one of our best markets and will continue.
He's yet to speak with his Chinese counterpart but faces joining Trade Minister Simon Birmingham and Agriculture's David Littleproud on an unenviable list of pollies who can't get their peers in Beijing to pick up the phone. As Australia, China and the United States continue to trade barbs over the coronavirus inquiry, another war of words has broken out, but on home soil.
The world was always going to have an inquiry into COVID-19. Of course it was. And China was always going to agree. So we didn't need to be out there in front offending the Chinese.
It's a disastrous situation that Australian politics has stooped to this level, weaponising foreign policy, our sovereignty and our security.
But Labor leader Anthony Albanese thinks we should be more worried about another inflammatory comment.
And I know a lot of people set their hair on fire about climate change and all the rest, and yes, it is important.
It's entirely inappropriate. The government has conceded that climate change was one of the factors in the devastating bushfires that saw a loss of life.
While the Home Affairs Minister is still hung up on the Queensland Premier not reopening borders.
When she starts listening to me, well, no, she's talking a bit of common sense, I'd say.
We're all in
Carl
trouble.
At the moment.
Tegan George for 10 News First.
A massive reporting error has revealed the federal government's JobKeeper scheme will cost the country significantly less than first reported. It turns out there are not 6 million Australians now relying on the scheme. Instead, the number is closer to 3 million, boosting the federal budget's bottom line by $60 billion.
This is a very uncertain time. I'm not blaming Treasury and I'm not blaming the ATO.
There are now calls for the Morrison government to explain why the scheme can't be expanded to include casual workers who have been with an employer for less than 12 months. Well, as schools across the state prepare for a return to face-to-face learning, Victoria's VCE students finally have some certainty. Annie Kearney explains exams are now set to start weeks earlier than expected.
After weeks of uncertainty, Jen, finally some clarity for VCE students with confirmation their exams will start on November 9. One of those Year 12 students anxiously waiting to hear that date was Vader Mancino. Vader, how did it feel this morning when you heard?
It was super relieving to hear the news and exciting that there's some sort of light at the end of what seems like a long tunnel, so I'm excited.
What's it been like studying at home?
It's been really hard and unmotivating not being with my teachers or my friends, so yeah.
What changes are you expecting at the school because of COVID-19 when you go back next week?
So the school's really emphasised that we really need to try social distance and not spend too much time with too many people all the time around school, and also using sanitiser before and after class.
Well, good luck, Vader, and thank you for your time. Jen, it's not just Year 12s heading back to school next week. They'll be joined by Year 11, Prep, Grade 1 and Grade 2, with the rest of the school to head back a fortnight later.
Annie Kearney reporting. The Counter-Terrorism Unit is investigating a fire which severely damaged mobile phone equipment at the top of a 220,000-volt main transmission line. Simon Love has more.
Members of the Counter-Terrorism Unit, along with arson detectives, spent several hours here trying to work out how this blaze happened. The fire broke out just before 2 this morning. Residents say they heard a loud noise and called 000.
We just heard like a poof. Yeah, and then we just looked outside and saw flames.
It was a bang. Yeah. And then we just saw an orange sky.
It took CFA crews about half an hour to control the fire. Linesmen had to be called in to scale the tower to reach the flames at the top and stop it spreading to other towers.
Be really careful about how closely they approach the fire, just because of the danger of electrocution.
Victoria Police insists the Counter-Terrorism Unit has been called in only as a precaution following deliberate attacks on 5G towers overseas linked to unfounded conspiracy theories they're responsible for the spread of coronavirus. Telstra says there is no 5G equipment at the top of the tower, but they're working with Victoria Police as investigations continue.
Simon Love there. A police sergeant who created an audacious scheme to take possession of strangers' houses and rent them out is facing jail. Rosa Rossi has pleaded guilty to 9 charges over her bizarre property investment plan. Emma O'Sullivan was in court.
57-year-old Rosa Rossi has pleaded guilty to 9 dishonesty offences, including perjury and obtaining property by deception. She's now facing a stint in jail over the fraudulent way she went about trying to obtain a property portfolio. She identified 5 houses that were vacant and then tried to take them over. It involves a little-known area of property law called adverse possession. She would engage locksmiths to change the locks, and in some cases she pretended to be the landlord and rented the properties out to tenants. One of the victims owned a house in the Victorian country town of Wellora. He was living in South Africa when he got a phone call from a neighbour saying that someone was inside his house. Local police checked it out, but when Rosa Rossi said that she herself was a policewoman and she was interested in buying the property, no further action was taken. That owner agreed not to pursue a trespassing complaint if Rossi really was interested in the property. Eventually, though, that sale fell through. The victim said he was gutted in a victim impact statement read in court. He said he still feels stupid and used by Rossi. Today, the 57-year-old's bail was extended and the case will return to court in June.
Emma O'Sullivan reporting. Well, let's take another look at the traffic. It's back up to Jess Miller in the chopper.
Thanks so much, Jen. We've got a pretty decent view of the Balti Bridge in the Lexus of Brighton traffic chopper. Smooth sailing in both directions. Actually, all of the major freeways humming along nicely for this time of night. No hold-ups, no incidents, no accidents. But Warrigal Road, just near Chadstone, is pretty heavy for some works. That's northbound. Struggling on the lead up to the Monash Freeway. Also just had reports of a collision in Devon Meadows. That's North Road at Fisheries Road. Emergency services are there. Have a great weekend. Over to you, Jen.
Thank you, Jess. Well, Stephen's back with sport now, and there are plenty of ideas being bandied about to revamp football.
Yeah, there are, Jen. A best-of-3 grand final, a wild card round, and the return of the curtain raiser were all floated again today. Also, Alistair Clarkson revs up his troops, and blowing a fuse, the power zapped as they wait for the lowdown on their showdown.
Together, we're getting there. And driving away has never felt better, especially with the incredible drive-away price of $49,888 for the UX200 Luxury. Contact your Lexus dealer today.
Music, sports and snorting milk. Tommy's new segment has got it all as at-home Aussies show us their tricks. That's next.
Creating the ultimate memories sometimes means creating the toughest stains. Improved Omo Ultimate is Omo's most powerful laundry liquid. It attacks your tough stains first time and whitens and brightens. Try Omo Ultimate.
even remotely. Our home loan specialists can zoom into your home to help you save on your next loan.
If you've been injured at work, on the road or in a public place, your normal life can suddenly stop. Check if you have a claim for compensation online in minutes so you can start again. With Slater and Gordon, tomorrow starts today.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
Go! Huddling at home? Try Domino's new Chicken Parmesan Deep Pan. With 22 succulent chicken pieces and crispy rasher bacon from just $15 delivered. Order now with total peace of mind thanks to zero contact delivery from Domino's.
Who's the goat you love to feel? Get your goat on. Aussie, so you know it's real. Get your goat on. Creamy makes you feel so good. Get your goat on. Rub it on your skin, you know you should. That's right, that's right. Goat soap, the one to choose. It's the only one I use. Look for the original goat range with Frankie the Goat on it. Available at all Chemist Warehouse stores. Get your goat on.
JB stores are open for business with the hottest deals to keep you connected. Get $150 on the latest 128GB Samsung Galaxy S20 phone. Take 15% off Lenovo and Asus computers and stacks more. Buy in-store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
Do it, baby.
Strong, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse doesn't win but runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Randwick, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet. Go on.
At Devondale, we believe great milk comes from cows that graze free.
Hey, do you like chocolate? I love chocolate. Oh, do you love laughing?
Craziest thing I'd ever seen.
Do you love superheroes?
I love you guys so much.
Yes. You're going to love tonight with Jamie and Graham from 7:30 on 10. You'll love to see it.
It's a case of less training, more action for Magpies skipper Scott Pendlebury. The 302-game veteran likes the shorter COVID-19 pre-season and thinks it should be part of the game in the future.
As a player, do a 2-month pre-season and get to play more football. So whether that's, extending the season, play everyone twice or, a few more games in the season, I think most players would rather play than do pre-season.
Pendlebury is also calling for an NFL-style wildcard weekend and a 3-game grand final series. Bulldogs coach Luke Beveridge wants to see curtain raisers return. He sees it as the only viable way to help those players not in the best 22.
It'll have to be that curtain raiser opportunity because we haven't got the staff to be at a different venue on separate days or on the same day. Some of those opportunities might look like training sessions with the opposition, which will be interesting.
The Dogs copped a flogging at today's session, but the coach says it was only because his players came back in such good condition that he was able to push them. Hawks coach Alistair Clarkson is confident the AFL will return to a degree of normality sooner rather than later. He believes the league will bounce back after savage cuts across the industry.
I sort of look at it as if it's like an event that's occurred and the stock market has reacted to that. And in most cases, there's an overreaction to a significant event, and then there's some form of correction. And at some point in time, I feel like the league will correct itself.
Clarkson will be a key part of that process as one of the coaches handpicked to sit on the league's subcommittees. A round 2 showdown appears a goer, with the SA government and AFL starting to agree on a series of compromises. Umpires would still have to quarantine in Adelaide for 2 weeks, but the broadcast crew would have an exemption.
South Australia's reluctance to compromise a stellar coronavirus record has caused a few headaches for the AFL in recent weeks.
We've got a set of criteria that we need to evaluate, and we've got to make sure that we're keeping the people of our state safe.
Finally, they're finding some common ground. Given their close contact with players on game day, the AFL is considering sending umpires over early to undertake a 14-day quarantine. They'd only be allowed in at all because they've been deemed less of a health risk to South Australians than interstate players, for example.
They're not likely to have the same intensity of physical contact.
Exemptions would be granted for the broadcast crew with strict guidelines because without them, the show can't go on.
Might need to put a bit of tape over the goal umpire's microphone for the big Texan. I'm pretty quiet myself. I don't like to lip up too much because you know the forwards can always get on top of you pretty quickly.
At a cold and wet session this morning, Port's forwards had varying luck. Dixon and Wines are both back at full fitness, as is a very excited Jack Watts. All power players pushed to their limits in a 1 kilometre time trial.
I'm no expert, but I'm sure you'll quote me on it. We're in better condition than we come back from off-season, far better condition, but probably not quite the same level as just prior to round 1.
That deficit mostly to do with the lack of contact training. Of course, that all changes come Monday.
And that's a different sort of exhaustion, so that'll be a real test, but it'll be really exciting just to hit a few bodies and wake up with that soreness on Tuesday.
Max Burford for 10 News First.
For the first time since footy shutdown, we got our first serious glimpse at the code springing back to life. So let's take a look back at the week that was here and across the globe.
Guess who's back? Back again. The AFL's rolled back into town with a range of ISO do's and a long list of don'ts for week 1 of training. Let's just hope Hot Pink doesn't set off the temperature guns.
This is hell. This is hell. Oh, okay. The joke's on me, eh?
In the US, NASCAR is leading the road back. It's cause for smiles and a little frustration.
Oh, boy.
A bird in hand, certainly not as sweet as a fox on the run. Fox on the run, you scream and everybody comes. Keeping with the animal theme, as they've saved us from boredom during another week of COVID restrictions. Sure, we could take up our own approved hobbies.
6, 7, 8.
But they come with a small window for success and plenty of potential for pain.
Bracelet, but I need 20 bands for a fucking anklet.
TikTok, it's a dangerous thing indeed.
Could have killed my daughter for putting that on anyway. All 4 seconds of it. Wasn't the first time I've lasted 4 seconds. Oh.
Best, we end there. Tim Morgan for 10 News First.
So I tell you what, in sport this week, we have work blue, Jen.
Interesting times. Thank you, Stephen. Mike will be back after the break with the 7-day forecast.
Get ready for MasterChef's greatest ever dish.
If there was ever a plate of food that says, I am back to win, it's this dish.
In a week of amazing food, one contestant will do something unlike anything before.
That was incredible. Incredible.
It just blows my mind. That was absolutely perfect.
MasterChef's Best Dish Week starts Sunday.
Experience the delicious intensity of Lindt excellence. By the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
Well, I think he's a gorgeous man, but his hair bothered him. And it bothered me that it bothered him.
So he booked the appointment.
Reached your turning point? The doctors at Ashley and Martin could help regrow your hair.
Illusion is on fire! A warm home is a safe home. Support Australia's largest manufacturer of gas log fires, Illusion. Buy direct and save thousands. Heaters starting at $2,499. Don't be left out on the cold. Dandenong, Epping and North Geelong.
We're losing him.
What do you want to do? Ew!
When your hair's not weighed down, you can do the day. Introducing new Pantene 0% silicone. Unlike silicone found in ordinary shampoos, new Pantene has nourishing lipids. The difference is clear. New Pantene 0% silicone formula gives you lightweight, smooth hair that lasts through to the next day. Do 0% silicone. Do new Pantene.
Huddling at home? Try Domino's new Chicken Palmy on Deep Pan. With 22 succulent chicken pieces and crispy rasher bacon from just $15 delivered. Order now with total peace of mind thanks to zero contact delivery from Domino's.
If you're looking for a simple home loan with a great low rate, then walk this way. With a Rams Essential Home Loan, you can enjoy both. Backed by our famous silver service. Rams, greater together.
Check out this offer at Randwick, Flemington and Eagle Farm this Saturday on races 1 to 6. If your horse runs second or third, get a bonus bet back up to $50. That's 18 races. Check out the app. Tab. Long may we play.
Gamble responsibly.
There's nothing like a hot mug of Milo. Keeps you feeling all warm and snug. Yep, I could really go for a hot Milo now. Love it.
Oh my God! Someone save me!
I think if you're gonna wear a red lip, you've got to commit to it. Not the guy, the lip.
Do we look like sisters?
Up next, with more COVID restrictions set to ease, not all Aussies are happy with where we're headed.
Target closing stores while Myer prepares to reopen. Will bricks and mortar retail survive the pandemic?
Had to cancel your travel plans? Why the standoffs over refunds are getting ugly. The project next.
We spend billions on them every year, but are energy drinks killing us? One grieving mum's plea to anyone who thinks they're harmless.
Plus,
you love me.
Seinfeld is back.
Pretty soon people are going to go, you know what? You've had your time. Move on.
Jokes are on Jerry. Monday on Studio 10.
Mike's back now with the weather.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Good evening on this lovely Friday night, although a tad on the cool side. It's around 12 degrees. Over your weekend, we're looking at 15 degrees and then 14. The next couple of days, showers for the most part tomorrow afternoon into early Sunday. OK, some great photos now that have been sent to Mike's Pics at network10.com.au, and that is dramatic. Dramatic colours above Altona North. A fabulous photo from Betty Sajecki, and from Caroline Boulding, Harmer's Haven looking heavenly along the Bass Coast. 9 degrees was the overnight low in Melbourne, 14 degrees our maximum, so yeah, that's why we're wearing coats or at least jumpers this afternoon. Friday night in your city, 12 degrees, the humidity in the 60-80% range, 68% range, and that wind a icy south-southwesterly, but blowing at only 3 or 4 kilometres per hour. Around Melbourne today, have a look at some of those numbers there, and yeah, a bit below average for this time of year, and that's why you possibly wanted to stay indoors a little longer. Around our state, and temperatures were in fact up to 7 degrees below average, 16 degrees today's max in the northwest. Just some isolated showers affecting the south today. Around our country, Hobart 4 degrees, but it was a cold start to the day. 13 degrees the max in Hobart. Adelaide 15 degrees and wet. Sydney 16 degrees and very wet. Canberra today 13, and up in Brisbane 18 degrees. Over the weekend in Adelaide, 17 degrees tomorrow and soggy, 16 on Sunday. Perth tomorrow's okay, but on Sunday wild weather in southern WA. In Hobart tomorrow 15 degrees, 13 on Sunday. Showers are likely both days. Up in Brisbane, oh, that's cold, 17 degrees, then 21. Sydney, they've got some mammoth swells for surfers up there. Temperature-wise, 17, then 18, and a whole bunch of rain still to come. Across our state, Yeah, it's all about the east. A low in the South Tasman Sea looks like triggering 50, maybe 60 millimetres of rain to drench East Gippsland. Most of that will be tomorrow, just some showers continuing on Sunday. Tomorrow we've got showers in the west and the south. Again, snow up in the Alps, some frosts to make it nice and crunchy in the northeast with chilly south-southeasterly winds. 16 degrees tomorrow's maximum of the likes of Mildura, Wangaratta, Swan Hill and Shepparton. Tomorrow, a gale warning for the East Gippsland coast. Around Melbourne, temperature-wise, Mount Dandenong 3 to 10, in the Yarra Valley 4 to 14, at Frankston 9 to 15 degrees, Geelong a degree warmer, and looks like there'll be showers mostly after lunch. On the bays, the winds will turn southerly. They'll get up to about 25 knots, waves pushing up to 1.5 metres. Another forecast for our wonderful city by the bay, cool and cloudy tonight, down to about 9 degrees in the early hours. The chance of showers 70%, and we're looking at only a millimetre or two, mostly in the afternoon, a top of 15 degrees, southerly winds, pretty icy, 20 to 30 kilometres per hour. Now on to Sunday, we're looking at 10 to 14 degrees. It'll be a cloudy day, showers in the morning, and then it starts warming up a little bit. Monday 15 degrees, so a degree warmer and partly cloudy. Tuesday looks pretty good, mainly sunny and 17 degrees, and then we have some showers returning. Wednesday around about 16 degrees, Thursday around 17, and Friday also around 17 degrees. So big difference to last weekend. Last weekend it was blue skies, we were out and about, but this weekend it's going to be chilly and showery. Look forward to seeing your smiling faces on Monday. Jennifer.
Thank you, Mike. Well, that's 10 News First for this Friday. I'll have updates throughout the evening. The project is coming up next, but for now, good night.
Tonight, the government's $60 billion JobKeeper stuff-up. How did they get it?